Good morning, my Miss Field. I'm Alexis Acosta-Millian.
And I'm Amiel Monasterio, and we're here to talk to you about a controversial issue, genetically modified foods. What are they? Are they a secret government conspiracy? Do they pose a threat to you and your family?
This is no conspiracy, Amiel. These foods have simply had their DNA changed, allowing them to become spoil and pest resistant, giving farmers a more plentiful harvest with better produce. Foods can even be modified to produce vaccinations and other medications, along with a higher nutritional content than normal, to help feed the poverty-stricken in the third world countries.
However, there are many people who find fault in the GMs, calling them a danger to biodiversity and the environment. They are many in number and have a powerful voice.
Just this December, Governor Daniel Malloy signed the first bill in the country to mandate the labeling of all GM foods into law. However, it may never be enacted, as it needs the support of surrounding states to have enough impact on companies to force them to begin the labeling process. Today
we will be taking a look at all sides of the story, from a farmer in Honduras, to an environmental campaigner in our very own studio, to a biologist working in a state-of-the-art laboratory.
And now over to our junior field reporter, Lindsay Gordon, who has been in Honduras researching for a few days now.
Good morning, Alexis, Amiel. I'm here in Honduras with farmer Sofia Hernandez. How are you today, Sofia?
Good.
Now, how long have you been farming here?
I've owned this farm since I was 21, and it's been in my family for 4 generations.
So what crops do you grow?
I mostly grow corn, some other vegetables, too.
Recently, biologists have been using biotechnology to modify crops in order to allow them to harvest more and more improved crops. What's your stance on these crops and why?
I think the GM crops are fine. They allow foods to become pest resistant, and allowing farmers like myself to harvest a much larger crop. It is a choice to believe in GM crops, and no one says you have to. However, I personally do.
Honduras is very poor, and many of your citizens are living in poverty. How does the production of GM crops help out the people of your nation?
Production of GM crops helps out the people of my nation because it provides more food for the people. It provides food security. There will be an abundance of food because these GM crops are more resistant, therefore allowing them to last longer.
Many people, Europeans in particular, believe that GM products are bad for your health and want all products containing GMOs to be labeled clearly. Do you think that all GM products should be labeled, or is it an unnecessary precaution?
I believe that it is necessary to label GM products. Like I said earlier, eating GM products is a choice. If you don't believe in it, then you should be aware if it's in your food.
Well, thank you for your time, Sophia. Back to you guys.
A special in-studio interview with Genevieve Smith. Ms. Smith is a senior research manager at Greenpeace, leading the company's campaign against genetically modified foods.
Hello.
Now, you work for Greenpeace, one of the largest environmental protection programs in the world. What is their stance on GM crops?
We believe that GM foods are evil and must be stopped. They damage the environment, are toxic to us humans, and are messing with the laws of nature.
So just how do these crops damage the land exactly?
Growing genetically modified crops can affect the biodiversity of entire ecosystems. If the seeds of the modified crop spread beyond their planting zone, they can contaminate organic crops with their special DNA. Making them resistant to pesticides will actually increase the amount of pesticides used, because farmers are now unafraid to spray it everywhere, coating the plants and poisoning the soil. This excess use of chemicals can also lead to the rise of superweeds, plants that have gained a high tolerance to pesticides and can no longer be killed by them.
I see. What kinds of effects does it have on humans?
The consumption of GM foods can lead to many serious health risks. Studies have shown that they have caused cases of infertility, immunodeficiency, accelerated aging, disruption of cholesterol levels, stomach problems, and changes in organ systems. They can also produce unforeseen allergens that can be toxic to many people.
So you stated before that GM foods are messing with the laws of nature. Would you elaborate on that point?
Yes. Growing GMOs leads to a decrease in biodiversity, or the genetic differences from plant to plant. If all the plants had no immunity to a new type of disease, then they would all be wiped out, leading to mass extinctions. Modified crops take away from the possibility of survival of the fittest and degrades evolution itself.
Well, thank you, Ms. Smith, for being here and allowing us to hear your input on this controversial topic.
Well, it was great to be here.
Now let's head over and see what new information Alexis has for us.
Here with me is Dr. Mal Ming from the FDA's Researching Laboratories. Thank you for the interview, Dr. Ming.
Please, it's just Mal.
Okay, Mal. Recent studies have shown that GMOs have profound effect on the environment. How does the altered environment and GMOs in general affect human health?
Since their introduction in 1996, GMOs have been both helpful and harmful to our health. As of now, GMOs are doing a great job at improving disease resistance and nutrition in foods. Malnutrition is a very common problem in third world countries where people don't have enough money to grow multiple crops. They focus all of their efforts on a single product. For example, rice. Rice does not contain the required nutrients to maintain a healthy life, such as vitamin A. Genetically modified variants, such as golden rice, help alleviate this problem. However, genetically modified foods are not without weaknesses. In the past 9 years, the amount of people in the U.S. who are diagnosed with 3 or more chronic illnesses has increased dramatically. Tests on animals such as pigs and rats have shown the long terms of GM crops, and they aren't good. Human-specific studies have found the poisons and insecticides of GM crops in the blood of pregnant women and their unborn fetuses. Genetically modified foods are known to cause allergies due to the foreign nature of the genes and the proteins they produce.
So Mal, how have GM foods affected our economy?
In general, GM seed is much more expensive than conventional seed, averaging from about $100 to $150 more per bag. Farmers also make $100 more a profit per acre with conventional seed. Taking herbicide, insecticide, fertilizer, crop insurance, and rent into account, 1 acre of non-GMO corn would cost a farmer about $680.95, while 1 acre of GMO corn would cost about $761.80. One of the greatest appeals of GMO crops is its ability to bring nutrition to starving third-world countries. However, the hefty price of genetically modified seed is too much for poor farmers. They must decide where to put their money in more expensive, nutritious crops or cheap crops in high abundance. With the many environmental problems caused by GMOs comes prices to be paid. Cleaning, reharvesting, and replacement of soil can cost up to $2,475 to the farmers. Due to contamination issues, the food industry has lost up to $1 billion.
What are your opinions on the labeling of GM foods?
I believe that it should be mandatory to label all foods that contain GM ingredients. Consumers deserve to know what they are eating and what is in their food. Many health and environmental concerns have been raised by the production of genetically engineered food. Mandatory labeling will enable buyers to stray away from unwanted products and avoid anything that may cause them problems. It is good to respect buyers' views, from vegans who want to avoid eating animals and consuming animal DNA to people who want to avoid GMOs in general. We need to take popular opinion into account. Countries all over the world have set mandatory labeling laws, including the European Union. Why can't we?
So Mal, any closing statements? With all this in mind, what is your general view on the topic at hand?
This rising technology has shaped our diet in many good ways and in many bad ways. Only time can tell whether or not we will continue to produce GM foods. As said earlier, it is truly a double-edged sword. If we want to utilize its strengths, we need to figure out how to fix the disasters caused by it. More extensive research might be able to remedy this.
Thank you again for the interview, Mal. Back to the studio with Lindsay.
Now you have all the facts and can decide for yourself, to GMO or not to GMO. From all of us at OE News, I'm Lindsay Gordon. Stay classy, Weathersfield.